Over the last few months, I took it upon myself to build the perfect diet. What classifies as a perfect diet? Well, we'll get back to that shortly. My name is Joe. I'm the founder of an organization called Aleph. Aleph is a response to the world and the start of a new one. Our philosophy is nuanced, but in short, our goal is your goal, to survive and to reproduce, applicable in ourselves, our community, and the world. As humans, fundamentally, our systems have evolved for these drives, but we have been misaligned with them. We think when we realize this truth and focus our efforts towards it, we are on track to experience the best existence possible. Join our Discord server, link in the description, to talk about this and much more as we are headed into the age of Aleph. Now, there are 1,000,001 problems in the world, but one of them is the fundamental drive to survive and to reproduce. Male hormones such as testosterone, DHT, androgens that help with male fertility also have some issues when it comes to survival. These goals don't align as closely as we wish they would for men. But I'm proud to announce there may be a way we can make these two goals synergize. Welcome to Longevity version 2. Now, the first version is already posted, but we never made a video on it. And that's because I believed a few things could be tweaked, and in fact, a lot could be tweaked. The goal of this diet is to maximize our probability of survival while also experiencing the benefits of high testosterone and overall masculine gene expression. More or less, we're synergizing a longevity diet with hormonal health. As you'll read on the spreadsheet, this diet was built using the highest quality studies and dietary recommendations. Of course, I am not a medical professional, I'm not a dietary professional. I have just done my own personal research and amalgamated that into what you see here today. Please consult with your doctor and moderate any of the foods if you have any dietary allergies or restrictions or any other medical complications. Now, a few instructions on how to utilize the diet to your needs. Embedded within each of the cells, there are certain notes. All you have to do is hover over these notes. You'll see certain information for each of these. As an example, for something like the kefir, we'll hover over that. We'll see how much grams it's going to be for roughly about a cup, how much that costs, that's the upper end of it, and then you'll also have some information depending on the ingredient. You especially want to do this for each meal. Now, for these, you'll have a short summary of the cost, their nutrition, and then you'll also have instructions as to how to prepare the meals. Same with super salmon, same with nutty pudding, and then the same with certain supplements here. You'll get a short overview from nutrient composition on what we'll be discussing today too, alongside with quantity. Everything that has a little triangle up at the top right, you can choose to view it. I would recommend it. Now, at this point in the video, you may be asking yourself, who does this guy think he is? How could anybody say someone has the perfect diet? Well, it's true, nothing is perfect. But if there were a diet, this would be the closest one to that. Don't take my word for it. We are going to be using one of the most reputable sources for nutrient tracking, Chronometer, to see how well we do with certain goals. Getting a summary here, you'll see that the overall diet is roughly about 2,534 calories per day. Now, you can add and subtract items that will also be discussed. So you're looking to optimize for calorie restriction, optimal nutrition, which does show to possibly increase lifespan by reducing metabolic processes over a long period of time. For all targets, that is all targets, we have reached 100% score. For antioxidants, we've reached 100%. For immune support, 100%. Metabolism support, 100%. Women's health, even though this is a men's diet, blood health and men's health, alongside other markers that we couldn't even include in this. Now, that's great and all, but what are the factors that contribute to a so-called perfect diet? The first thing that we want to do is make sure that we're getting an adequate intake of vitamins and minerals, doing so without surpassing the upper amount that is recommended of intake. As you'll be able to see in this sheet, you have the RDA, or adequate intake for men. RDA stands for recommended daily allowance, and you'll see certain vitamins alongside with their corresponding intake and also the upper limit for them. Now, for most people, there's a minimum amount to prevent deficiency. This amount that is the the recommended daily allowance is to prevent deficiency in 98% of people, so it should be adequate for your needs. Whereas the upper limit is the highest amount of that mineral or vitamin that has shown to not have any adverse effects. So staying in between these two amounts is going to be ideal. Down here we have certain macronutrient balances and overall nutrient balances. As I mentioned, for caloric intake, ideally you get around 10 to 20% caloric restriction. Alongside that, you have specific recommended amounts of protein intake, carbohydrate, and fat intake that are all determined by reputable sources such as the World Health Organization, the USDA, the American Heart Association, and much more. We also decide to adhere to Alternative Healthy Eating Index from 2010. Now, aligning your diet with these recommendations should decrease your probability of all-cause mortality and certain diseases that are commonly found with certain dietary choices. Now, I could go into all the details, but you can feel free to do your research. We will be releasing another version of the diet, hopefully one of the final versions of the diet, which should also contain the information and research behind how we came to certain conclusions of foods being included. We also focused on reaching certain sub-goals that were not recommended specifically by these organizations. Those were to have a reduction in the fiber intake, which may potentially have issues when it comes to testosterone production. We also wanted to reduce the amount of oxalates, which are typically found in vegetables, and we have a lot of vegetables. So that way, if you're at risk for kidney stones, hopefully this will help. Now, before I continue, I will show you how to make a copy of the diet, so that way you can use it for yourself and enter in the information here. All you have to do is go up to the top left, click File, click Make a Copy, and you'll be set. The link to this will be in our Discord server, where you can join in and then easily access this to make a copy for yourself. Now onto the main part of the diet. Here you'll have a lot of information coming at you. On the left hand side, we will have, once again, certain ingredients, and then we'll also have a meal at the top, which will be bold underlined, which will contain each of those ingredients. Each ingredient has been meticulously measured to make sure that it fits into all the others. Now, these include goals such as 600 grams of vegetables per day, 90 grams of whole grain per day, roughly about 30 grams of whole nuts, less than 1 gram of trans fat, 4 servings of fruit, and restricted sodium. At the top, you'll have certain markers in green. Now, this is not for no reason. Every single thing that is green means that you have reached an adequate amount. Now, protein is a little bit over here, but you should anticipate that you'll be cooking out some of that protein in the process. Just dragging over here, you'll see that we've reached vitamin A intake, all your vitamin B, C, D, E, K, anything you can imagine, alongside with some trace minerals such as boron, amino acids such as glycine, and some other nutritional factors such as polyphenol and flavonoid intakes that could also benefit overall health. So you can feel free to experiment around with stuff, and I will show you how you can do that in an effective way, but it is always recommended that you get adequate amounts of each of the minerals. But what value do each of the foods individually have themselves? That leads us to this incomplete page right here, which will be included in the next diet version when it comes out. I've been listing certain ingredients alongside with certain studies that show them to be helpful. On the left hand side, you'll see method, which is basically going to be what food, what vitamin or mineral, and what supplement. If it's highlighted in green, that means it's a go. Totally worth including, and especially alongside the other foods within the diet. So certain foods like a banana has a good amount of potassium and B6. Something like blueberries has vitamin C, vitamin K, has polyphenols, and overall a good choice to include to meet the fruit recommendation. Even something like broccoli, which may seem like a valid vegetable to include in and of itself, also has other properties like DIM, which lowers aromatase activity. So when you have testosterone and want it to be converted into a more powerful form like DHT, it makes that more possible. As you can see, each ingredient has layers to its effectiveness. That is why when we're talking about only 2,500 calories, everything needs to be perfect. Now, even with all this being said, you may ask yourself, well, Joe, I want some variety in my diet, and I hear you. That being said, I made another tab down here, which you'll be able to select, which is the longevity menu. Now this will contain certain foods that the entire diet does not, but are still extremely powerful and valuable if you want to add or subtract a few of the foods on the original diet. These are things such as Atlantic salmon instead of sockeye salmon. You have calf liver, cherries, chicken breast. As for supplementation down here, you'll be able to see that you'll be intaking vitamin D3, ashwagandha, berberine, taurine, creatine, and acetyl L-carnitine, which are supposed to help you with longevity alongside your hormonal health. Down here, we also have an optional elixir you can create, which is called Shield Tea. You would use dandelion, chicory root, milk thistle, if you're uncertain about the quality of your salmon. Once again, you want to make sure that you get all these foods from the best sources, ideally organic, grass-fed, farm fresh, free range, whatever you can. Especially for core foods such as eggs, for something such as sockeye salmon, getting them organic is going to pack so much more of a nutritional punch that is definitely worth the value. Now shout out to Ukulele Boy, he was the one who created this template. He has also been doing a lot of extensive work on his own omnivore blueprint, which covers a more in-depth breakdown of how certain foods can be beneficial for overall health. I used a lot of his work and incorporated it into my own, and hopefully you'll be able to find some of it useful. Link will be in the description. And ladies and gentlemen, that is longevity version 2. I'm excited about this. I hope you're excited about this. If you've been wondering what you should do for your diet, this may be your answer, and I think it will be a very good answer. Feel free once again, make a copy of this, try it yourself, and join our Discord. We would like to hear your feedback on the meals, on if you enjoy the taste. Everything is meant to be functional. Nothing is meant to be there that isn't. And if you're able to obtain biomarkers, obtain certain tests, see if your testosterone level has changed over time, see if other factors such as your overall health have improved either subjectively or by getting certain blood tests, please report back to us. We would like to do certain studies. We would like to combine a bunch of anecdotal testimonials that tell us that this diet actually works. If you know somebody who could use some dietary changes, please send this to them. Anybody and everybody can benefit from it. Once again, version 3 will be coming out before the end of the year. Please like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw today. We will be making much more videos. We'll be going over the philosophy of Aleph. We'll be going over certain global issues that we would like to see a change in, and much more. You don't want to miss it. We are Aleph. We are a response to the world and a start of a new one. See you all in the next video.